10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome! My name is Dragon Drop, and this is the WePlay League Season 3, a best of one between two teams that I am sure are gonna give us a great match. COOKISS here, they just came off a win against Team Empire, 2-0 victory in the No-Shank tournament. And Samurai Champloo here, who you may have not heard about, but they have replaced Mama's Boys here in this particular tournament. And once again, they're playing with Black and Minuts, and if you haven't heard about the others, well, we'll find out now what they can do. It's definitely gonna be a good match, and I'm not alone. I'm joined by my co-cast, Chicago Tad. How you doing, man?
5 seconds remaining.
You know, honestly, I don't think anyone hasn't heard of Attacker, or at least if you haven't, you've been kind of under a rock. This guy had his 15 minutes, I think, not long ago, where he was known for his Kunkka play. And I mean, even aside from Kunkka, he's a pretty decent mid laner and should be giving us a good show this time around.
Yeah, we already see the respect band now on the Kunkka in the first phase from COOKISS, so they definitely did their homework. Same with the Lone Druid, maybe, perhaps. I mean, recognizing that Black has been playing that hero out of the offline here for Champloo, so moving away from that traditional carry stigma, the kind of carry role that he's traditionally taken. But at the same time, Samurai Champloo, they ban out the Earth Spirit, which is one hero that Pablo really likes to play. So pretty targeted bans here so far. And the Gen first pickup, that's something you haven't seen in a while. What's the scoop on that one?
Shen is actually a pretty successful hero for Samurai Champloo. Overall, they've got a decent 83% win rate, but that's only on 6 games, so you can't really base too much off of that. The main point here is that they've got a guy who they know is comfortable playing with it, and they should be able to put a lot of aggression on. But COOKISS, they get their Invoker. This is a hero they run a lot, and by a lot, I mean a lot. Like they've got most of their games, and it runs about a 50+ win rate, but it's most of their games are being played with this Invoker. And comboing up with the Vengeful Spirit, I mean, it couldn't get any better than that, because Venge is also a hero that they love to run often and are very comfortable with. So, as far as this goes, I mean, Invoker and Vengeful Spirit, this is going to be something that they need to be incredibly careful of. That is, Samurai Champloo need to be incredibly careful of. If they were to give him something like a Juggernaut on top of this, then you're giving COOKISS the trifecta, and I'm not quite sure you want to do that.
Oh, hang on. My OBS is somehow messing up.
Oh, boy.
Just dropped the ball. There we go. Are we back? We are back? I think we're back. Alright, I don't know what that was about. Sorry guys, on stream. I'm just gonna
10 seconds remaining.
Drop for a second. Let in the chat know this so they don't panic, but that was weird. That was really weird. But hey, we're all back in business. That threw me off a little bit, but yeah, just to touch on what you already said about the Invoker, he skills off that hero. I mean, every time they can get away with picking it, that means if it's not banned or picked by the enemy team in the first phase, they're gonna take it pretty much 100% of the time from what I've seen. And well, this time around though, with the OD, it's a pretty decent hero up against them here if you can get some of these right clicks off and don't expose yourself too much up against any sort of reaction.
And I like this Faceless Void ban out from Samurai Champloo, because obviously they've taken out the Earth Spirit, one of the more popular, it looks like, potential offlaners for COOKISS. If they actually looks like maybe he gets played more as a roaming support. But along those same lines, Void has been one of the offlaners that they run, and they ran it to pretty decent success. So now you still got to be careful of something like a Darkseer coming out, or an Enchantress still in the pool. But well, Darkseer's gone. So Samurai Champloo, they've got COOKISS's number, especially for their roamers and their offlaners. Not quite sure about the IO ban. Maybe just, you know, one of those bans that you get out of the way, because Samurai Champloo, it looks like they have some mixed results with it, but it's kind of like one of those heroes that really, if you don't want to play against the style that IO brings out, then you go ahead and you take it out of the pool.
Yeah, the IO has such a big capacity of changing the style of the game so hard that if you leave it in a pool, you just have to have that in the back of your mind that there's a possibility, and that's a big constraint that you put on your drafting. If you let
I love this pick.
I do as well. Nyx Assassin up against the OD, great hero. You just do so much damage with a mana burn, and you can do up to about 500 or so, even more, late down the line.
Oh, yeah.
When the OD starts stacking up intelligence. So one of the better counter picks as well.
It's not just the OD too. Like Chen, he's got a decent mana pool, but the problem that Chen usually faces is getting off all of his
10
spells in a
seconds
team
remaining.
fight is pretty difficult, and that's including the fact that he typically builds
5
items
seconds
too, which
remaining.
also can end up being pretty mana intensive. So Nyx Assassin hurting that mana pool of Chen might be able
Dire
to
team pick.
at least somewhat mitigate his impact in team fights. So I'm loving the hero. I think he's going to be fantastic in this one. Low cooldown mana burn is going to rip Champloo to shreds. The gyrocopter might have a little bit of something to say to this Nyx Assassin, but it's going to be kind of difficult. Despite Carapace, usually you'll end up getting hit by that, whether through call down or through flak cannon. So
10
it looks like
seconds
the gyro is
remaining.
going to have to be pretty careful this game not to end up proccing that in an unwanted fashion.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, it's always a problem if you have that if you have that damage that you can't really
Reserve
control once you start to throw it out up against the Nyx Assassin, as you said, with by Carapace. So that's why I'm curious why they picked that up instead of maybe Juggernaut, which is still in the pool as well.
Oh yeah. Well, Juggernaut, I don't think they're very they run that hero very often. In fact, I don't really see them running the Juggernaut at all. They tend to go more for these traditional carries, like the ones that you typically think of when you think of a carry. So I see the Luna, I see the Morphling, Tiny, Anti-Mage, these kind of carries. And Gyrocopter definitely fits the bill for that kind of carry. Juggernaut, he's become less so of that style. I think Juggernaut is more of a straight up brawling aggressive carry than a super farming carry. Now, of course, you can build him in that style if you go for the Battle Fury style build, and then you can most certainly get a whole lot of gold in a very short amount of time. But as far as his ability to take the game very late and end up winning against other late game carries is pretty I won't say abysmal, but it certainly doesn't stack up that well against some other more popular carries. And Gyrocopter, he definitely can fall under that category of a carry that I don't think the Juggernaut really wants to play against. And COOKISS, they've run the Juggernaut, they run it often. I mentioned how it would be their trifecta to pick up the Invoker, the Venge, and the Jug, but they seem to have a couple of other carries that they do. The Spectre is a pretty notable one, and I actually kind of would
10
like to see
seconds
a
remaining.
Spectre this game, especially with the Nyx Assassin roaming ganking potential.
5
Find an
seconds
initiation from
remaining.
Invis, immediately you've got a Sunstrike and a Haunt, and that is a kill.
Yeah, would agree. It's definitely
Radiant team pick.
sorry, one of the better combos, especially since you already have the Invoker there as well. Being able to provide a little bit of extra with the Sunstrike, so you can really make sure that you can get these kills even on targets that are maybe a little bit tankier, with a little bit more defense, like the Chen perhaps. If he gets that mechanism up and running, or even the
10
Rubik, if he
seconds remaining.
starts putting out points in the spell shield, it can be a little bit more difficult for Nyx Assassin
5
to
seconds
burst them
remaining.
down, but that's only when he doesn't actually hit the Vendetta Strike, so... Rubik, well, yeah, he has some good things to steal here for
Radiant
Champloo.
team ban.
Also be able to keep Gyrocopter fairly safe in the lane here, together with the Chen putting on pressure as needed, so I kind of like that pickup. Again, is it just... maybe a little bit too short-sighted here with Nyx
10
Assassin on the field?
seconds remaining.
I wouldn't call it short-sighted right now. I think the
5
Rubik,
seconds remaining.
I mean, it's not like Nyx would hard counter this one. I think the Rubik
Reserve
can
time.
definitely have a couple of spells to steal, which might actually end up being good here. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's that bad of a pick to grab. And Rubik can actually be incredibly useful against a hero like a Witch Doctor. Stealing the Paralyzing Cask is brutal, because it's one of those stuns that you really have to put yourself in the mindset to face up against. And if COOKISS aren't expecting it, then they could easily see an incredibly poor team fight go their way. I mean, Invoker is so positioning reliant, right? He's got some pretty abysmal movement speed until he gets a couple of points in Wex, or gets a couple of
Dire
movement
team
speed
pick.
items. But his movement speed ends up being one of his main crippling factors in the early game. And of course, Witch Doctor definitely wants to get full ultimates off, and one bad bounce could end up ruining that. But I do like the Rubik for that regard. A couple of spells that are really good for him to steal 3 major stuns from COOKISS that he can go ahead and pick up for himself, which would be fantastic to grab, as well as one of his own from the telekinesis. So Samurai Champloo, I mean, they've got this one covered with that Rubik pick. I'm not quite sure what they're going to grab for their last hero. Probably, if I were to take a guess, a offlaner. But I'm trying to imagine who would go well here. Enchantress is still in the pool if they want to go for that. But I think Black is their offlaner, and he has some success with heroes like Axe, which might not be that bad against the Nature's Prophet.
Just something that's that you can use to help clear the waves with. So the Axe wouldn't be too bad. Doxia obviously also already banned out, so that can be an option. Or maybe you go for something like a bit of a different old school offlane, like a Tide Hunter. Just have a little bit of extra team fight up to kind of stop the Invoke in his tracks, stop the next assassin going on you.
Hey, Dragon Drop, just a quick second. Is one of us muted on stream?
Yeah, I think my microphone cut out somehow after OBS came back up, but I fixed it now.
Alright, so we're good. Alright,
yeah, it's
just had to be sure.
You were saying all the smart things anyway, so nothing of value was lost here when it comes to the
draft.
draft
Come on, man. Self-depreciating. Don't do that, dude. You're good.
I'm just joking, dude. I'm just joking.
Alright, so for this last year again, it is going to be that kind of Black-esque style, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to grab. Of course, Garter being their carry pod, probably going to be on the Gyrocopter. Looks like they're going to the attacker to Outer World Devour and a Slardar pickup. This is really interesting. I think he's going to be really great to catch someone like Invoker out of position. So look to Black to getting that early blink out. And once that comes, I don't think Invoker is going to have too easy of a time this game. Between the Slardar stun, the Rubik, telekinesis, and whatever stun he ended up stealing, as we talked about earlier, there is a lot that this Invoker has to be afraid of.
Alright, everyone's picking their heroes. Gonna have that. Yeah, that's Slardar. I like that hero. He has fallen off a little bit, but he can still provide a whole lot in many ways. And it's always nice to see a Slardar just being played very well. I mean, it seems easy, right? Just blink in or jump in and crush.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
But the real Slardar players, the real good Slardar players, just do that. But they do it like 5 times in a single fight, right? Just constantly re-engage.
Yeah.
Blink in, crush, slither out, kind of create confusion, and then when they start to chase you, when I think, all right, you've got the drop on them now, you turn around with another crush. It's only on an 8-second cooldown, so you can do it time and time again. This is where the Slardar dance kind of comes out, but standard pause coming out as we get into the game perfect opportunity for us to once again introduce ourselves. My name is Dragon Drop, bringing you this game, this best of one between Samurai Champloo and COOKISS. I'm joined by Chicago Ted on the co-casting mic, and should be a pretty good match.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. As Tyr mentioned, the Slardar is going to be pretty interesting. Creating chaos in the fight, as you said. Keeping an eye out, because again, I think his primary target's probably going to be E-skill on the Invoker, but really, he's got to keep constant eye out to where everyone else is. So Pablo, looking like he's setting up for his Death Ward, you want to have an eye on that, make sure you can get in and stop it. Same thing with Kizu, if he's off trying to do his thing and right-click someone down in the fringes of a fight, you got to get in there and you got to stop it. So I'm liking the Slardar. I think it's going to be able to blow up target of choice on COOKISS, and plenty of support to follow him up. This is going to be a fairly interesting game, and I expect a lot of kills to come out very soon.
Might see one right the hell now. They smoke up S5. They find Minus here. They only need to get the initial stun off, and that's Pablo with a cast here. Where's the follow-up? Kizu already has the Treant's cast, so doesn't have to sprout, but if Lens gets in range, same for Stab Stall, it's more than enough follow-up to bring down the Rubik. Not a whole lot that the other heroes could really be doing there up against this 5-man lineup. So COOKISS already putting themselves on the ball, taking control of the Radiant side jungle, placing walls to block the camp, and obviously they also secure that first rune on the bottom lane for E-skills. So yeah, with that, take a complete look at a lineup, starting with COOKISS here. On the die side, we've got Pablo, as I mentioned, on the Witch Doctor's Death Style. On that Nyx Assassin, we're gonna have E-skills playing the Invoker. And that's Kizu on the Nature's Prophet, one of his... it is in his portfolio. I mean, he's playing so many offlane heroes that It's hard for me to really put a finger on who he's best at, but maybe just because I hadn't really been watching his streams all that much. But yeah, that only leaves Flency on Eventual Spirit in one position.
Yep, I would imagine so. Taking a look at Samurai Champloo. It's going to be My Nuts, the very popular player on Rubik, with a moment, I guess would be the best way to put that, on the Chen. We've got Garter playing the Gyrocopter with Attacker, the man, the myth, the legend on the Outer World Devourer, and the even bigger man, myth, and legend, Black, is going to be playing the Slardar. And one thing I'd like to notice, or I noticed about that kind of bottom engagement, that, yeah, COOKISS have 3 incredible stuns. We talked about the ones that Rubik could possibly steal, but the first blood engagements that you can pull off with that kind of thing is incredibly scary. And the fact that they only got 1 kill is not that great for them, considering Flens then had to make a long trek back up to the top lane. And even though he did end up making it in a decent amount of time, it still puts a little bit of pressure on their lineup that, you know, maybe it wasn't entirely worth it. But hey, they got the gold, so we'll see how it turns out for them.
Sometimes they also should get pretty much free farm up top here with Black can't really approach too closely here, because if he gets stunned up by Venge, then with the follow-up from Witch Doctor, even though it's not really the longest stun duration, these two heroes have a decent amount of damage between themselves at the early levels.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can't really deal with a Slardar. Sure, you have a decent amount of armor, but he's only sitting on 3 tangos, so if he's taking too much damage, he has to stay even further away, sometimes even out of XP range, so probably not a whole lot that he should be able to do himself there.
Yeah, Witch Doctor is known for his early game damage. Like, this is a hero that you just cannot trade hits with. If you get up close to him, he'll outright click you, and then the stun becomes a problem as the Centaur rotates in. Yep, Steph Style could be in trouble.
Black could have gotten a stun crush of his own off, but probably wanted to conserve the mana here, knowing that wouldn't have been able to get Steph Style anyway. We already see him rotating around, trying to make something happen elsewhere on the map, just because he can't get too much up in his top lane.
I mean, he could probably still get some experience up there if he stays right on the fringes of that experience range. Because as you said, even though they've got a lot of damage from the 2, I guess it's not 2 supports, Flens is playing the 1 position, but even though they have a lot of damage between the 2 of them, as you said, the stun duration is very, very short. Both of them have pretty unnaturally short stuns. It makes up for Venge in terms of damage, and Pablo because it can bounce and become a longer stun. But if he's alone, it's not bouncing, and he's not being stunned for very long.
Let's talk about the mid lane a little bit, because we do see both of them actually a similar amount of last hits, but it's actually E-skills with the bleed and denies 8 to 4.
That's important.
Yeah. So why do you think that is? Is it just E-skills us playing attacker here, or is it just what Invoker should be doing anyway? But
try Exhort Invoker as, yep, there's a big gank coming in, but it's not really going to do anything. There are 4 heroes rotated for this gank, and I think they wanted Attacker to initiate with that Astral Imprisonment, but it was a tiny bit early, and they were not able to follow up with any other stuns, so they lose a huge kill there and a massive commitment for it, as Attacker is going to take some cold snap damage. Steph Styles coming in for a Earth Spike, but no, not an Earth Spike, what is it? Impale, jeez! Burrow Strike, Earth Spike,
really.
and Impale. Yeah, it is the same exact spell. Yeah. Black on top in trouble.
He is indeed diving a little bit. And just already uses stun as well as to wave. I should be able to put on some pressure on the Style here at the very least, but Black still has a stun, still has a sprint to get away without any creeps and bounce it too. They need some extra help, but that is coming. In the form of Steph Style here, wrapping around on the back. There's the first stun, second stun, Pablo with a Maledict and a cast. A couple of extra right clicks, only Steph Style hit with a crush. Glenn's taking a step back, as we not to be hit by that. So very good rotation here. Steph Style playing there with roaming Nyx as good as he can. Kind of like a bounty hunter style almost.
Yeah, and it's exactly how, like, he's most effective. When you've got some really good stuns in the top lane, you are going to get that kill 9 times out of 10, unless, well, Black left the lane. And we saw him leave the lane, and that was with the Nyx Assassin not even there. So he's going to make his way back. Now can try to pull the creep wave back to his tier 2 tower. Of course, Creep Equilibrium is something Black is very well versed in, but we'll have to see if he can accomplish that against 3 heroes constantly contesting him. Though, Attacker needs to be pretty careful, too, in the mid lane, as Steph Style might be ready to go for another gank, but it seems Attacker's finding his rhythm, you know, not falling too far behind him.
Look at this damage. Just the second point to the magic missile seem to do so much. The right clicks all being buffed up just from Vengeance Aura at this point already.
Yeah, Venge hitting for 73 damage, Witch Doctor hitting for just under that with 71, Steph Style, of course, with only 61, but he doesn't matter. It's mostly the 2 ranged heroes down up in this lane, and it's incredible how much damage they do without the Venge Aura. Just adding that on top of it makes it so hard to stand up against, and now Keizu on the bottom.
He does get caught, lifts up into the air with a wraparound from one moment and mine out Scarter with the call down. Just making sure there's no way for them to go, so... On a standard dive, not a whole lot the Keizu could have done there.
Yeah, Black on top though, equal trouble as a paralyzing cask. Yep, this time it bounced to him, but he was dead even without the bounce. Like, when you, again, Steph Style, you can't deal with 3 stuns like that. I know I'm a broken record about it, but it's one of those things that... With
you
just
gotta
the
keep
2
saying
of them,
it if
fine.
Black keeps dying to it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the 3rd time
Exactly.
in a very short succession. It might die again here if he goes just a little bit too far. This time around, though, he does have a little bit of help from Miner to try and interrupt that chain of initiation. Yeah, 3 deaths on a starter, not exactly ideal, and at least a tower at less than half health on a lineup that's from a lineup that isn't even the Chen. Doesn't even have the Chen on that team.
Right, a lot is linchpinned on Slardar getting a decently timed blink.
Yep. Doesn't get the stun off, got the sprint off though. Only hastens his step and it just probably Keizu steals it.
Nature's Wrath. I mean, you gotta give Keizu something. Like, he's level 6 right now in his own offlane. This is fantastic. He lost his own tower though, so a little equal in that regard. Maybe they go for a gank now as he TPs on in close to the mid-tier 1 tower, but they're not quite able to get their initiation. They want that Sprout to find Attacker and follow up with a couple of stuns, but it's just not catching. And so it looks like COOKISS will do a push into the mid-tier 1, maybe get this tower for about 7.5 minutes.
They should be able to. I don't really see Champloo initiating into this without being caught by Cask in this very narrow choke here that they have to fight yourself into unless you wrap around on this side. Yeah, it looks like COOKISS don't want to commit too much here. Not willing to risk anything to give Champloo any quarter, which is still very good. I mean, considering it's only 8 minutes into the game,
right?
Don't really have to be worried about not bringing down the tier 1 at this stage.
And you gotta kind of be sure you're not giving the Chen a chance to really shine. Like, he's got early game engagements nailed. So you let a couple of creeps come in, you know, catch you out with some stuns, whether it's a net from the troll or a centaur coming in for a stomp, then you open yourself up to a very bad engagement. So rightfully so that they back off there. And
Korea, no, Keizu, he's gonna get it.
He's not gonna get it. It's out of range. Oh, he gets it!
One last right click up.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
That's
that was
brutal. That is a energy booster.
Started coming with a ping here. That should, Champloo pinging out as well. There must be a ward on top there. Keizu with the snipe, maybe for the challenge. I don't know. It's 4-1 in this game if he wants it.
I don't think those actually worked in lobbies. Probably not, but
it was a joke, man. Why do you have to ruin it?
I like to ruin things.
Okay.
Attacker came in for the attempt to get some vengeance for his courier, but it seems the damage was not quite enough. He is doing a whole lot to these illusions, or not illusions, summons, the Forge Spirits for Eskil, or E-skill, but it's still not quite enough to really stop this Invoker. I mean, he's having a very good lane, 43 CS, 13 denies, and even though Attacker has about 38 last hits and 8 denies, it still is a lead for E-Skill that obviously you don't really want to have as an Outer World Devourer. You really want to just be dominating this lane against an intelligence hero. It's kind of like your bread and butter, but so far, E-Skill's been playing this one very well, using his summons to the best of his ability, and even though a push is coming in for Samurai Champloo, it looks like COOKISS is in a pretty decent position to defend.
I want to fight this one. They're missing Keizu, but they can TP in at any time to pick someone off on the retreat. Champloo very close together at this stage, but doesn't look like they want to continue.
Yep, Witch Doctor's so damn good against the Chen in that regard. Like, all the creeps just get stunned for forever, it seems like, and then it just all it takes is E-Skill to right-click him down between his Forge Spirits and his own very sizable attack damage. They don't last very long. So Samurai Champloo, these pushes, if they continue to just get stopped dead in their tracks, then their momentum, if they had any, is just going to deplete to 0. And now Attacker in a lot of trouble here, dropping into possibly Sunstrike range, just barely out of it. Mind Nuts is in close by, though, to protect him from any further diving. And I mean, as trouble goes, Black could be in a lot here in the bottom lane. The Sunstrike will connect, and the crush into the Spike Carapace. Oh, that is brutal. You never really expected that, it seemed. But Steph's style was not stunned at all, so he could just bait out the Slithering Crush, and maybe Black could have just walked away without crushing, but it was a tough call, and he made it, and he paid for it. So yep. COOKISS will get 6-1. Samurai Champloo.
Game for the starter right now, not even quite level 6 yet. That's what he was looking for on his bottom lane. Teleports back into it just to pick that up, but it's his 5th death for the game, which is, as I said, not ideal. You want to be at least halfway to a Blink Dagger right now in an ideal game.
Oh yeah. There are games as an offlane Slardar that you can even have a Blink Dagger right about now. Like, it's not that unheard of, but he's had to go Tranquil Boots. He's got an Iron Talon to help him, whether he needs to duck into the jungle or to easily bring down some creeps like he just did. You know, you can use the Iron Talon to last hit under tower a little bit easier, but he's really got to get so much more out of this early game, and around 15 minutes to 16 minutes, if he still doesn't have anywhere near a Blink Dagger, then his general impact in the game is going to be pretty much inert. I mean, you're looking at a hero that needs to dive into the middle of everyone, and even if he's got a Blink Dagger, if he's too squishy to survive after that initial crush, then his effectiveness, as you said, he needs to be able to do multiple crushes in a team fight. If he can't, then we're looking at a pretty...
Yep. Oh, Mind Nuts with the lift up on the E-Skill puts it back into his team, but Pablo's there with the cast as well as the Death Walk, doing a lot of work. The hammer from attack and misses on E-Skills. That's an initiation attempt that did not quite work out. Still going for it though. Black with a crush into flanks. Sunstrike comes out as well. Also teammate though, so it doesn't really do a whole lot. It's Chen Creeps trying to do some work. The cast though will make that impossible to do any further. Apart from these creeps, not actually any other casualties by either side.
That is all of a moment's creeps gone now. He doesn't have anything more to push, so he's got to go back and start recruiting some more followers. But the problem with this now is that now that you've got all these creeps, what are you really going to give to your team? Like, Attacker wants to go into the jungle and try to farm a bit. Same thing with Black if he's able to duck into the jungle. Same thing with Garter if he's able to go in. So the more creeps that a moment needs to grab from the jungle, the less that are available for his team. And even though it is pretty negligible, like, it's not that big of an impact on the early game, it still is something that you can claim to have taken a small victory over. And of course, Chen, his impact is pretty limited to what he can do with those creeps, and it hasn't seemed like he could do a lot with them. So Champloo struggling a little bit in this early game, of course, obviously, in the kill score, but more importantly, in the net worth. They're back by a decent margin, about 4,000 gold, 4,000 experience. They really got to close the gap and, you know, start getting some pushes, start getting some towers, or they're going to be left in the dust.
So far, the COOKISS have been doing a really, really good job just stopping them in their tracks whenever they group up to make a push happen. The only one that's really farming and pushing is still Keizu here on the Nature's Prophet, who, as we said before, he can throw in his ultimate, he can teleport in whenever he's needed, and the rest of the team is also in a good position, except for E-Skills right now, who's caught out entirely. That's what happens
Yep.
if you run into high ground like that.
Astral Imprisonment is so good at catching someone out of position like that.
Yep. Yeah, just throw it out, 4 seconds. Plenty of time for the rest of the team to come in, Nesson. He just stole the force here on the Rubik. I was wondering why they were hitting on the die side tower, but now that port comes out onto Minot, that will bring him down easy. Flens unable to contribute anything, but didn't have a mad ring. Champloo was forced back anyway. Same time, the Nyx Assassin are dying in the bottom lane to Black.
Oh, that's really important.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I was watching the mid lane Death Ward go down. That's super important. 15 minutes, he's about to have his Blink Dagger. So that timing we were talking about, like, of course it wasn't the greatest. It was more of a worst case scenario timing. But the fact that he's about to have it, he actually does have the goal for it. So this is incredibly important for Samurai Champloo to have this initiation potential, or even just the follow-up to the OD's Astral Imprisonment to continue catching people off guard and out of position. It's really, really gonna try to turn this game, or start to turn this game around if they need to, if the Cookies lets them. I mean, Samurai Champloo, they've got the tools they need, and Cookies, if they stay back and farm, well, they might still be good, but they've got a pretty push-heavy lineup of their own. Some split push going on here, but I imagine maybe they want to start trying to find some kills, and with that Blink Dagger, it's going to be a little bit more difficult.
This Black Dota man, he just called his banker, said, "Hey guys, remember all the gold that I saved from all the other games I played? Just give me some of that now."
I need to collect.
Yeah. Well, it looks like COOKISS, I wanna get some momentum of their own once again. Coming back to the Tier 1 tower, they will be able to bring it down. Problems whatsoever. The question is, do they continue here? Black has not revealed the Blink Dagger yet. Now he's not in a position to do anything about this middle lane push unless he TP's in. Shen's army also growing to a sizable margin here. If you do get an initiation off, you have 2 Centaur Stomps to follow up. Thanks for about 6 seconds of solid lockdown. And KZU could be in a bit of trouble.
Black, he's chasing, he's got that blink, it does reveal, but doesn't end up blinking on the target, afraid of the Tier 2 or Tier 1 TP and to defend or help out their ally, but it seems COOKISS are already preoccupied. They want to go in for that Roshan, and of course a Centaur denying the bounty rune. It is there, ready to get the stun off. Maybe he can even deny the, okay, no, they're gonna take care of him. Very smart, as Roshan actually gets the last hit on him, but...
Well, now Snapstar comes in. That might be the factor that they need to turn the spider around. Double stun here, Flans inside the bait. He's got on the outside. Minot's first one to fall. Attacker still trying to right click out. He mounts the 1-1 versus Fans, but now Black comes in with a double crush, popping the agency and brings Snapstar pretty damn low. Gala finishes him off with a rock barrage. Attacker still right clicking away. KZU unable to really do too much. Save for Pablo here, now caught in front of it. KZU coming back from that, though, trying to salvage this fight. Is he really able to, though? Black can blink in 3 seconds with another crush to help out Garter. So far it's a 3-for-2 trade here. Moment actually on the top side gets right clicked down by Treants almost. There's a crush.
He's a bash right now.
Oh wow!
Wait!
What was that? Was that the Wild Wing Ripper? I think it was
the
Wild
Wing Ripper got it.
Getting the last on that one makes it a 5-man wipe. But 3 heroes inside Champloo in total. I mean, Rubik already respawned, so that was a huge gold swing. Look at the fight rate gap. More than 3k golds, 4k gold, 4k of extra experience going the way of Champloo.
That's what happens when you give Black a Blink Dagger, especially on an off-lane Slardar. Like, not just Black, right? A Slardar in general can blow fights wide open with that. And you saw, I mean, he was playing his positioning really well. When the Paralyzing Cast was coming out, he would spread out, you know, wait for the cast to go down. If it bounced to him, then he had 3 seconds to wait. But that's much better than just getting locked in with one of your allies. And then he'd come right back in, get the good crush. He was able to find the Invoker like this. Not quite the Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctor died to other means. But he found most of his targets like this, and that's exactly the kind of style he needs to play. And now he's got a Force Staff. Not 2 minutes after he finishes his Blink Dagger, he's already got enough gold for a Force Staff. This is incredible as far as turnarounds go for a single hero. This is one of those big, big moments. And of course, Garter is at the top of the net worth with almost 10k at 20 minutes. I mean, he's got his Sanjin Yasha, and he's looking really, really good. The team fights are only going to get scarier and scarier right now as Samurai Champloo start to get a lot bigger.
Yep. Oh, Minot's Would end up dying here. Satsu comes down after the initiation from steps out. More enough
Clean
damage to
and
bring
easy.
him down. And yeah, attacker stops the TP though. His back
Hey, maybe
cover is
not so clean.
preventing that, and well, Black will get the counter kill. So hey, not really worth it there if you're COOKISS.
Yep, and again, there's that blink dagger coming into effect. Of
Yes.
course, I think there was a little bit of force staff there too, but
Yeah.
honestly, like, Attacker's so damn good at catching people out of position like that. You continue to find kills like that, then I mean, that was just a solo kill on Rubik that turned right around and they got a counter initiation. So that's the power of these heroes. Blinks, Astrals, all these kind of stuff is going to work together to make Champloo's fight really strong.
So, what does COOKISS now do? I mean, they kind of obviously have to switch up the style a little bit here as he skills. He's farming the enemy jungle and now gets caught by Black. A little bit of extra help though to get the actual kill. Was coming in the way of Minards, maybe not the best DPS, but with a good spell steal. I'm not sure what these skills had at the time. Could have actually turned it around as well. Be careful about this, but they're still, yeah, they're asserting themselves in the Radiant side jungle as if it were nothing.
Well, the thing that COOKISS have right now, the one real silver lining is the fact that they've got a couple of Midases on their side of the map. So E-Skill is going to have a constant high stream of gold coming in. Same thing with Keizu. We're about to see a couple of Aghanim Scepters get finished. And those Ags are incredibly important. For E-Skill, it's a lot of spells coming out. A very low cooldown on his Invoke means he can get probably his full arsenal off in any given team fight. And with Keizu, it's a constant push. It just means that every single lane at any given time is going to be going to have some pressure exerted on it. And what that creates is an opportunity for Keizu to continue split pushing, to, if a fight goes sour, still trade off towers or still get objectives off the map. So it's not that bad of a game for COOKISS. They've got plenty of income to come in that will keep the lead if Champloo get one, which they do have it. It will, or they don't have it yet, but it will keep the lead if they do get one very small. That's going to be one major thing for them coming into the mid to late game.
Yeah. I really like his decision to go here for this Aghanim Scepter build on Aegis Prophet, especially in this game. I mean, if you really look at Champloo's lineup, the only one that can really reliably clear these creep waves right now is the Gyrocopter. Right?
Yep.
Everything else, okay, Black can kind of come in and crush, but Slot isn't exactly, that's not going to do enough damage. Slot isn't exactly known for being able to farm that way in the first place, so it's obviously that factors in when you're thinking about wave defense. OD, single target. Chen, well, he can throw his own creeps away, but it's not exactly flash farming or flash creep here. And even the Rubik Fate Balls, I mean, that mitigates with every single jump, and if you have like 20 treants there, the last jump of the bunch, which is, how many jumps does it actually have right now?
Isn't it like infinite?
I have no idea.
Pretty sure it bounces as many times as it can.
Oh yeah, well, but
I mean,
yeah,
the big thing about the
jump,
Fade Bolt, though, isn't quite the damage. Like, the damage is great, but it's the damage reduction it gives to the enemy that ends up making it more of a push than anything else. Oh god.
That was smoke, and they explode everything on top of him. Question is, can COOKISS get anything else off the map because of that? Doesn't really look like it. Keizu doesn't really feel comfortable pushing out up against this Gyrocopter, obviously. And Champloo still putting pressure here. And the dire side jungle, now it's their turn to take over the enemy side and actually find Keizu in here. He teleports out, the crush is there in time though. Just a couple of bashes here to stop that particular TP, or just enough DPS. The amplified damage, they have that in spades.
Slithering Crush is such a good stun. I mean, we talked about the low cooldown, but the AoE of it is crazy. Hits right through the trees, didn't even need vision of him. It looked like he wanted to force tap to get himself through those trees, but was just barely outside of it. So what does he do? He stands next to him, and he still gets the crush off, and then they, well, of course, obviously get the kill after that. So COOKISS, I mean, getting picked off like this is really the one thing you need to avoid. You've got to stay alive, and you've got to get some split pushing going, because if you get picked off, Champloo do this. They go in, they see their objectives they're going to push down, and they just push. They apply their pressure, and that is going to suffocate COOKISS eventually. Again, they've got these Midases, they've got a constant gold income. Even if they are getting choked or they're getting struggled, they still have something coming in. But it really doesn't make that big of a difference if, one, their carry isn't really doing a whole lot of damage, which just the Yasha is not fantastic. 3,000 gold on top of it, though, is going to help a bit. But you've also got to look to E-skill to be able to constantly do some damage, and we might see a couple of BKBs. In fact, we've got one for Garter. I imagine Attacker is going to be finishing one very soon. Black, will he be going for one? I think he will be, but for right now, it doesn't seem like he's got anything. Okay, he's going to get the Vlads instead, but the point stands. The BKBs are going to limit E-skill. The Venge is already looking a little bit lackluster, and Keizu only has an Aghanim Scepter for pushing, doesn't have anything to help in team fights. So is they definitely can get suffocated right now, and Samurai Champloo, I think they're going to recognize that. They're going to start pushing down. They're going to probably take a Roshan when it comes back up 2.5 minutes from now, and this game, I mean, 10 minutes from now might just be over if they do everything perfectly and they just, again, choke out COOKISS.
Yeah. What COOKISS need to do right now is to split up on the map, get the vision going, know what Champloo is at every single point, so Keizu can leverage the Aghanim Scepter to its fullest potential. Keep the lanes pushed out, keep Champloo on the back foot, and not let them near your near your team, because if they group up as 5, all these factors that you were talking about, they're coming into play with a lack of damage on the side of COOKISS. Really starts to hurt. I mean, it's not like they don't have any. I mean, especially with the Witch Doctor level 2 death ward now, it's a decent bit. Of course, a burst from Nyx Assassin and E-skills outside of the BKB, and even Vengeful Spirit with the max vengeance aura just buffs up everyone to a point where you are in a fighting shape, but not in a 5v5 situation like that, especially if you get jumped on by a starter who has a blink force, so he does have the mobility to do that from a range where you might not expect it from. So just avoid that as much as you can. Keizu's having the right idea, scouting with the treants, keep himself alive and also keep the push going.
Yep. I mean, he's going full split push style, full rat with that blink dagger. That's going to keep him alive, but is it really? If Samurai Champloo get the initiation with a Slardar, then I don't think Keizu gets out alive, but he's going to have to be very careful, you know, finger constantly happy on that trigger, ready to blink out if things start to seem sour. And you can already see he's gone into the trees because everyone from Champloo are missing. That's because they're smoked up. They're not going to find any kills, though. No targets really in their path of terror. This is very important. The split push is going to still be pressuring their lanes, and they're not going to find anything to really make up for this time lost.
COOKISS might have seen them actually with the ward picking up the rune on the bottom. They were paying attention to that, and that would have telegraphed the fact, other than the fact that no one's responding to a stop push and everyone's busy off the map, of course. So
I love this positioning from COOKISS.
All across the map, they're just no position to get picked off. And yeah, Champloo wasn't really pushing.
Oh, step style on top.
Reach a tower. Instead to kill it, they can get Pablo's as well with the depot. They're gonna commit it plus the Sunstrike here. It should be a really quick pickup on a Jarkov to Keizu even teleporting in. This time around, no tier 2 to teleport to for Fugard or anyone else, or Attacker even.
Yep.
Get the turnaround, so very clean kill. All of a sudden, they're the ones benefiting from that smoke gang, from just being the ones concealing themselves a little bit better as a result of that.
Yeah, but this is just buying time right now. COOKISS, they recognize they've got a little bit more time before their Hand of Midas really start pushing them ahead. You can see the trifecta, the Nature's Prophet, the Invoker, and the Venge are just barely, okay, not just barely, they're about 2,000 to 3,000 behind that of Garter, but still, they're in the top and they're constantly growing in terms of their net worth. So the more time they've got where Garter is on the sidelines and not farming, and they are pushing down and farming themselves, then things look a little bit better for them. They still got the kill score. I think they still have a net worth lead, yeah, by about 4,000. Not huge for a 30-minute game, but it's all these things really coming together to extend the game and to make it so that they have a chance at just blowing them up in a team fight. Because again, COOKISS' style, or not a team fight, but just blowing them up on the back of mistakes, because COOKISS' style is a very split pushing, is a very kind of chaotic style, whereas Champloo, they want to run them down, push towers, get picks, get team fights, and then use that to take their objectives. So right now, this is a style that's favoring COOKISS, and it's looking like Samurai Champloo, they might be feeling a little bit of pressure soon.
I mean, just look at tier 3 top, it only took a bit amount of damage here from some treants as well as all the creeper pushing in until got in to clean it up, but Champloo just have to have some way of accounting for that. I mean, smoke gangs are the right idea. You have to make sure that you can actually find someone with that. Bushan, also another good idea, just make sure that you have the upper edge when you end up forcing COOKISS to fight on a high ground. But point still stands, I mean, while this was happening, Keizu's still pushing out this top lane, forcing someone back, and it's the gyrocopter because he's the only one who can really deal with pushes here when they grow to a bigger size, especially.
Yeah, he's got a lot of tools to deal with those big pushes. You're going to have even more the Demon Edge, possibly into the MKB after that, or if he wants to be a little bit creative, go for the Daedalus, which I wouldn't recommend. I think I'm more of an MKB fanboy on Gyro than anything, but whatever style he goes for, he's going to become a monster, and unless he's getting solo picked like we just saw, he's still going to have a huge impact in some of these team fights, and it looks like Champloo are going to move together a little bit on the top lane. They want to try to bait out some sort of defense, as I think they're expecting maybe another solo attempt pick-off onto Garter, but for right now it seems COOKISS have other priorities. They know that the Aegis just went down, so they are going to go ahead and split push and avoid fights a little bit, and then use all this time that they've got to just, you know, pressure objectives and get very, very close to either breaking high ground or catching Champloo when they're making a mistake.
Well, the question is, does it count as a mistake not responding to this soon? I mean, once again, it's a big creeper pushing in with the Fort Splits helping out. In a tower, not taking crippling damage, but just being chipped away at, while Champloo is just kind of grouping up anywhere in the map. I mean, I can't really remember a time in the last couple of minutes where they've been apart on these on 4 heroes at least, to try and get the better end of the trade across the map. Because right now, once again, as I said, they grouped up as 4 looking for someone, but COOKISS is just one step ahead of them every single time. It looks like they're getting more of the map, they're getting more objective damage done.
Yep.
And as a result, as you said before, they even extended the lead by with quite a decent velocity as well. Almost up to 6-7k.
Yep, and they've got to keep his momentum going. Flens is farming fantastically well now. Like, he was a little slow, and he'll constantly be behind that Gyrocopter as far as last hits goes, because, well, Gyrocopter can flash farm a little bit better. But Flens is doing a fantastic job with what he's got. I mean, Vengeful Spirit wasn't your typical carry for the longest time for a reason, and this is one of the reasons. But now that she's got the Manta style, the drums are done, and it looks like she's got about 3k gold to play around with, possibly a BKB, as she's got to the Ogre Club in her inventory. I mean, she's going to become even more scary, and she can hold her own in team fights too. The damage coming from that Venge is going to be unreal. So COOKISS, even though their late game maybe falls short of Champloo, honestly, you know, I wouldn't say that COOKISS' late game is actually that much worse than Champloo. I mean, of course, Champloo have some later game carries as far as the Gyrocopter and I guess the Slardar goes, but COOKISS still have plenty of right-click damage. They still have plenty of split push potential and a whole lot of team fight, whereas Champloo, they've got a couple of stuns, and yeah, sure, they've got a whole lot of team fight potential as well, but Chen starts to fall off a little bit. Maybe those ancient creeps will mitigate that, but it doesn't seem like he's anywhere close to the Aghanim himself. Maybe a little close, but Rubik is going to remain eternally squishy, and that's going to be a pretty big problem for Champloo.
Yep. Especially with the Venge Court. I mean, maybe you're not really used to it as well. It's not exactly the most common play style, at least outside of the CS region, I feel, so it can be a little bit deceiving by how much he can actually do, especially if he goes for an Aghanim Scepter downline as well. So even if you do pick her up, it's coming right back with all the spells and everything up and running again, and also all the items as well. And all of a sudden you have 2 carries, and you got one assist Vengeful Spirit or assist an awkward one. And I'm playing against a guy with an Aegis. And that alone might be enough to tip the balance. As you said, she's getting pretty tanky, she's doing a lot of damage. And this is really what it comes down to in late game sometimes, just a numbers game. comes to how many heroes, how many buybacks you have available, but also how effective they are.
Oh, this gem
God,
on black. They're
gets
gonna find Steph.
Well, that's BKB party for Garda to make sure that happens without interruption. So, what? There was a 10-second charge. He won the bottom lane. There was a big push mounting here on the rest of COOKISS. Gata already made his way back, drops a call down to stop that in his tracks. So, yeah, a good movement overall from Champloo.
Yep. I think Garter's BKB usage there was a little important for COOKISS. They know that the BKB's down. They want to try to push off of it, but of course without Nyx it's a little difficult. I think one of the main things that COOKISS have to look for though is start to run some of these BKBs down. I mean, we still got a 10-second BKB on Attacker, a 9-second on Garter. If they want to try to take this one late, then they need to make sure that these BKBs are at 5 seconds or, you know, at least somewhere close to that, just so that they can outlast some team fights and maybe try to get some spells off late as the team fight goes. But it looks like Champloo, they're going to try to press some advantage here. They know that Nyx Assassin just went down. He's probably not going to have his next item very soon. The next item looking like an Aghanim Scepter. So maybe they try to push here. But it seems COOKISS, they're willing to defend.
Tried to push, but it was 1 tornado and the push pretty much ended for the time being. The creeper will be getting rid of as well, and hey, look at the bottom lane once again being forced back just because COOKISS has been very vigilant about keeping the lanes pushed out. So it did a little bit of damage to the tier 3 tower, but at the end of the day, they need a better pickup than Steph's style. They need to bring down Keizu. They need to bring down Iskills, one of these heroes, ideally both, if they want to really accomplish something on that front.
Yeah, that's an MKB done now for Garter. His damage is going to start. Well, it already has been pretty bad for COOKISS to deal with, but it's getting worse and worse by the minute. 2,500 gold on top of it. He's gotten to that awkward point where he's very close to getting 6-slotted. Now, he can buy a Satanic, and he can't get rid of his phase boots for another item. But after that, it really starts becoming a toss-up whether you want to get rid of the Sanjin Yasha or not, which usually you do want to try to get rid of it for a bigger item, but the big thing here, though, is that he needs to start prioritizing his item slots a little bit more carefully. He's running out, and from this point, you could say he's very quickly approaching his quote-unquote peak as far as his item choices go, and he's close to max level, too. So COOKISS, they can kind of look forward to that as one of their big things. I think the Satanic is going to be one of the biggest things they've got to watch out for. Butterfly, if that's what's coming up next, might be a little bit rough to deal with, but the Satanic is the big one because that's what boosts Garter's HP pool by a lot. So we're looking
it's also
at
the same kind of idea.
Yeah,
it's also the same kind of idea as with Avenge Axe, right? If you use it correctly, you essentially have a second life with the help of that Satanic and the Flak Cannon together, just pumping up your health so much in a very short duration. And as I said before, that's what comes down to in the later parts of the game, which we're rapidly approaching, actually.
But yeah, we're I think this is the stage. After 35 minutes, you can say you're getting into the late game is kind of like the mid-late game. 40 minutes is really where I put the hard stop for the mid-game. But
top lane, Divine Minus here steps out with the blink. Kick comes in from Gata. Oh, there's a call down, but that won't actually hit. Steps out, bursts himself with his own Aghanim Scepter. They know he's there. Black comes in with the gem as well as his ultimate. Oh, Steps out still holding on, but he doesn't have any sort of help.
Yeah. That's a gem for you.
It seems like a deja vu, right? Rubik dies.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened the last time. You go in, you get the Invoker with a beautiful Sunstrike follow-up, and then all of a sudden the Slardar comes in and ruins Nyx's day. This time he's got the gem though, so there really is no hiding from the Slardar, and I love this gem pickup. He picked it up a while back, hasn't lost it since, and every single time it's just made so much use against the Nyx Assassin. I don't think it's had a big impact against the Invoker just yet, because I don't think I've seen him pop into Ghost Walk at all yet, but it still is having a huge impact in finding that Nyx and getting rid of him. And now that Nyx has Aghanim Scepter, it's that much more important that he's got that gem at the ready to bring down the Nyx when he's in burrowed form.
Outside of that though, what do you think about the Nyx Assassin ultimate in any way? I mean...
You mean the burrow?
The burrow. I think it's absolutely amazing with the axe. It's super fun to use, especially when it comes to late game high ground situations on either side, really.
Oh yeah, I mean, The most obvious thing is the fact that he can defend his own high ground incredibly efficiently with the burrow, but attacking is also really good. If he can get up on the enemy's high ground, he takes less damage and he can just continue to throw out stuns. One of the big advantages you have with high ground is having that vision advantage where you can throw stuff onto the low ground, back off, get back to your fountain, recharge, then come back and keep throwing stuff at them. But with a Nyx, if he can get up fast and start setting down with some stuns, one, you've got the Nyx providing you vision so that you can constantly just, counteract that sort of vision disparity. And two, the stuns flying out are going to destroy Champloo's ability to back away.
Fine skills here. The amp damage pops the BKB to punch it off. Kind of has to stop himself from being killed. We're talking about the BKB durations on Champloo, but well, that's also the 10-second charge on E-skills having to be used for that. That means it's also down for this Roche fight. If they want to make that happen, and that means, well, it's gonna have to let this go. And they do the next best thing though, Flans and E-skills. They're up on top here with the Force Spirits breaking it down with KZ at the same time, down on bottom lane with a massive amount of Treants at the ready here. Of course, between his ultimate, his Nature's Call, as well as the Octarine Axe. Just a lot, but they haven't really been able to get close enough to do significant damage. So overall, Champloo, they've been doing a good job kind of managing the risk here, always returning just in time. They might find someone. Black's Blink Dagger stopped a little bit for a second there thanks to the ult, but now force stuff out. Cola comes in, throwing down Flans here, pops his own BKB, turns around onto Ghana. He's really want to fight this. I'm not sure if he wants to, just TP's out, no bash.
That's an important BKB usage for Garter too. I mean, that's his 9-second BKB gone, forced out without anything. He's still got Aegis Immortality, which is good, but Champloo are being played right now. I mean, they go in, they try to find a kill. Meanwhile, their towers are being pressured, their lanes are being pushed out, and the split push is becoming way too big of a problem for them. Even as that Roshan was going, Cookies weren't just not defending it. Like, that's too passive. They were actively finding objectives across the map. They got a decent sum of damage in the top tier 3. They pushed into the bottom tier 3. I don't think they got that much on it, but the point being is that this split push, this kind of rat style coming out from COOKISS, could end up biting Champloo within the next 5 or 10 minutes. If they go for a major push with this Aegis Immortality, they might just get suffocated out. So the Aegis is great, but they're not able to team fight. And that's a huge thing for Champloo, is the fact that they can't straight up fight and they can't straight up push high ground because of it. So COOKISS are playing this one really well, but Black might find Flens.
Yeah, it doesn't quite have the BKB of cooldown. It's coming down now. Gata actually gets hit with these skills combo before the BKB can come out. But hey, that's the inverse. Black not quite in range with the gem though, so E-skills able to ghost walk out of it. So.
And 8-second BKB used.
Yeah, you're saying exactly what COOKISS needs to do, and then doing exactly that. So they do agree with you. They do make it work every single time, and at the same time, KZ's just doing his thing. He's being bulldog right now, just pushing out the lanes every which way, and this is the recipe for success at the end of the day.
Oh, if Bulldog's the Admiral, KZ is the Sergeant. He is being on top of this one. And now he's got a Refresher's Orb. Like, at any given point in time, right? If it seems like Champloo are committing to a push anywhere else in the map, he pops a double ultimate. But
well, that was OD's spidey senses. He blinked into the trees and teleported out. Death Star was looking for him. If he would have maybe blind fired the stun, could have maybe gotten him, but yeah, I got a little bit all excited there for a second, but hey.
So I was gonna say here that he just has to pop a Refresher's ultimate, and then all of a sudden he's got 2 creep waves worth of Treants that every single lane's gonna be pushing in. So even though he is giving a lot of gold to Garter, which is a little troublesome. I mean, Garter's sitting at 468 last hits, and of course the Treants are definitely helping that. The thing is, like, I don't think they care. COOKISS really does not care how much gold they give this gyrocopter. As long as they can freely split push lanes, they're in no trouble at all. And oh man, Minus took a little bit of damage from both of those, but did not actually go down. Though still, plenty of Treants coming out from that.
Also don't think that they care. I mean, think of the last time when Gata was actually hitting someone. I can remember the time because I don't.
Yeah,
Right.
no, he's
They've
been
been
completely
invading
kited
every
this
single
entire
time,
game.
So it doesn't matter what items he has if he can't actually use them in a fight.
See, and this was the
we're talking
point
about
of the
the entire time,
Slardar pick, was the Slardar is supposed to get up and stun and set something up for Garda to come in and follow up with his own damage, but they're not just avoiding Garter, they're also avoiding Black. They're avoiding everyone. Like, they do not want to fight. They know they take a straight-on fight, they are most likely going to lose, and even if they don't, like, big whoop, you just want to fight, but the big thing is they want to push. But if they lose the fight, this is the thing that they got to be careful of, because it's a toss-up really for them, and they're not going to risk it. They don't want to risk it. So a big push in the mid lane. Samurai Champloo, they want to force the issue, but it looks like they were going to try to pop some BKBs. Not going to get popped, but might see it soon.
Gata out of mana though, and creep wave about to be broken, so once again just a little bit of chip damage to steal free for the time being. This is as good of an opportunity as Champloo we're gonna get here with the lanes not quite pushed out, but also not quite pushed in. Kizu now taking care of that down in the bottom lane with the chain creeps, but top lane,
that's Aegis going away.
Refresh your ultimate. Okay,
exactly what I'm talking about. It looks like they're committing somewhere. You throw, it's not a Refresher's ultimate just yet, but he might throw another one out very soon if he realizes they're committing into the mid lane.
Screen apocalypse for sure. That's the Witch Doctor ultimate kind of being wasted here. On the what happened there? Did it blink out immediately?
It looked like the Sunstrike missed. I actually don't know how he would have blinked out immediately because that's supposed to do damage.
That was Garter caught in the imprisonment, right?
Oh, did he send him back with a Chen? Huh.
I think he sent back plus the OD imprisonment. Then you end up back where you were sent back to. Same kind of story with the
hilarious.
It's the same kind of story with Disruptor Glimpse.
And Magnus's skewer too. I think I remember seeing that a long time ago. Wow. Okay. So that's a thing, and I guess all you gotta do is send someone back and have OD imprison them, right? And
that's actually pretty damn good, all things considered, to save someone. I mean, you still disengage, right? You still still have to call it quits, but better than the alternative, which it would be to have a 30k net worth gyrocopter die in the front lines. That's a buyback, that's not the issue, but just giving more fuel in COOKISS, and exactly what you want to do. And I like this board as well, Stepstar, putting that out there. It's once again conducive to the goal that they've had. Just keep Kizu safe, whatever he's doing, and just keep Tabs and Champloo wherever they go.
We talked about that gold on Garter, how they didn't care that he was getting farm. He's about to have a butterfly completed. 6,500 gold in his inventory. I mean, if he's saving for buyback plus butterfly, then he needs about 800 more gold, or about 900 more gold, before he can just straight up buy out like that. But
okay,
more like 500 now, but
just got 500 from that wave, so more or less.
I guess one thing I should have noted in the draft is that be prepared, because Champloo and COOKISS both have a tendency to take games pretty late. I mean, I'm seeing multiple hour-plus matches on both of their sides, so okay, fine. More like COOKISS has 2 hour-plus matches, but the games will tend to go late with these guys. And of course, it seems COOKISS, they're the ones that generally play better when the game goes past that 60-minute mark. We'll have to see if they can close this one out before it, or we might see this one go ultra late. And as it stands, though, we're approaching a stalemate sort of style where, COOKISS have great split push, but Champloo are constantly going to be back defending to the point where it's not going to matter how much they split push.
He just heard the last remaining tier 2 tower, so doesn't actually make a great difference on grand scheme of things if we're looking at items. I mean, we haven't really talked about support items other than the carries so far. Let's actually take a look. Chen obviously has his own item, Scepter for the ancient creeps.
Yeah.
Can go into the Guardian Greaves now, so just a kind of standard support build. OD here. What can he do? I mean, he's just similar to Garter. Attackers felt like a dead hero just because he couldn't really right-click someone, which is obviously the only thing that you want to do on OD. Even though he's itemized with the Bling, with the Rod of Aethys, with Cypher Vice, well, Do you think that he's built a good item for the point when they
Yes.
when they do end up fighting, or would you have preferred something like a Shiva's Guard or something along those lines?
So the thing Champloo are recognizing right now is they're not going to fight.
Speaking of attack, and Stefan comes in, he misses the first stun, but Mana Burn comes out in the follow-up from absolutely everyone on the side of COOKISS here. Flens just a little bit tardy to the party. That was
That's really
quick,
important.
But hey, it's created. Roshan will fall to Champloo at the same time. Top lane not quite pushed in, but there's a big creep. We have a double lane of creeps, 2 catapults, 4 range creeps. A bunch of these treants, even more will be spawned now. It'll put Gata back. He's already waiting for them though, so that'll be another juicy influx of gold. It's just it's about 1,000 gold.
Yep.
That you got from that.
To touch on that OD we just talked about, I mean, there are multiple ways you can build an OD, right? As you said, the Shiva's Guard, refreshers, or things like that to team fight. If you were to go for those items, then it would be the team fight style. But this is not the style he's building in. The fact that he's got a Blink and a Shiva's or a Scythe of Vice is because he's expecting more to go against solo heroes that are split pushing. So he wants to go for that solo pick-off style.
Might get
It
minus.
looks like, speaking of.
Well, there's Steph start burrowing here. Goddess as well. It might make a little bit more different plans. Wants it though. Swaps in. Gets the kill. OD still dead, so can't actually help. Soundstrike on Gata. BKB comes out. Now he's healing up on the Satanic Plants. Pops in. BKB same for Black. All down. Yeah. In a waste at this point. Not that it matters. Steph start blinks in. Wants to find someone more. Might find Black here, but he has Blink and the 4-star available himself. So this time around, we do get the Rubik, but Steph doesn't die afterwards. So
yeah,
COOKISS making progress, I suppose.
I think that was a
3.6k gold himself. Oh god.
That was a pretty questionable send back. I mean, it was good and bad. The good was that it sent him back so he could go in and clear up a mid lane that didn't get split pushed. It was bad because I'm pretty sure Black and him could have turned that fight and continued, you know, pressing down on COOKISS, and maybe they would have gotten a kill or two. But at the end of the day, I mean, Champloo are both losing heroes and losing the push war. And if you talk about, you know, what the writing on the wall is right now, their building style has gone in for these solo picks, so they're not going to be able to team fight as effectively as if they had gone for full team fight style. And now Garda could be in trouble. They're going to cancel this TP.
As well. TP's out. There's a soundtrack. Do they have no damage? They do. Maybe not. With the heal from the Chen, he's still isolated. They almost brought him down with Garda. He gets the standing up just in the nick of time. And now it's COOKISS on the run.
Sent him back again.
Flens will be the one brought down. He sandbags every single time. Gata was fine. He got the standing off.
Yep.
It's so
constant. Satanic, then send back. And again, it's good and bad. The good is that he can come back and help against the split push that is crippling their base. But he definitely could have continued in for more kills there. So, his skill could be in a bit of trouble here in the mid.
On his skills. Pablo said to try and help. That's the Deathward here, but can't control the cask. He's still in a lot of trouble. Just the Deathward case was there to try and help with the Sheepstick on attack. Let's see Invoker going down. Pablo's Deathward not doing as much as they needed it to. Oh, attacker goes down again to the Witch Doctor at the end with the last couple of bounces, but he bites back immediately, teleports into the lane, looking for Keizu here. Everyone on the side of COOKISS has buyback. Might need to use Keizu has as well. He's sitting on 10k gold. Nothing to really put it into outside of buyback with the travel, but might have to do just that. He's just standing there. He will fall as a result. This time on Champloo, series of kills. Gives them a lot of breathing space at the very least. Maybe force out a couple of buybacks if they can get the creeps pushed out as far. That's a whole different story, right? I mean, Gata's on top lane. It's bottom lane actually. Sorry. It'll take a while. Top lane is already being pushed out by the only remaining member of COOKISS. So they're all gonna TP mid. Try and force out a buyback on maybe Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that COOKISS lets that happen. Like, getting actually brought down one by one like that is incredibly bad for them, and now Champloo will push, and forcing out buybacks would be 100% important for them, because if they can go ahead, force Nature's Prophet to buy back, and then kill him again, the split push is gone. Like, all of that split pushing power that they've drafted up is just straight up done. So they're going to go ahead and push.
The attacker comes in with the Sheepstick on plants in the back, so he can't do anything. Steps out, forced to unburrow Pablo with a pretty decent depth ward, but just seems to bounce off of Gata, but he's sheeped up now, doesn't have mana, doesn't have half point, but he gets the Satanic up once again, plus the sandbag. Okay, why the hell not? It's been a theme of this game. Plants Well, it leaves him to kind of go ham with everything else. He's
Once
also
again, the
coming
send
back
back
into
is
the
bad.
fray. That's Black caught with a sprout. Mind us. Well, it should be tracked down here with a force. Actually, the blink comes out as well. I still think he's up there, but well, he might be able to TP out. But that's Rubik. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things as much as the maybe the slaughter kill. But once again, hey, the tier 3 it's still standing by skin of a steed, but it's still standing. And was there a buyback force out actually? No, I don't think so. On the side
I can
of COOKISS.
check. You know, there is two buybacks that were used. One by OD,
one from Attacker,
one by
and
Nature's
one
Prophet.
from Okay.
So the huge thing about that fight, the send back, you know, the reasoning was he could just. Oh, actually, hold on. Speaking of Garter, he might be caught out by Pablo. This is huge. Pops another BKB and TP's out. All right. The send back, right? The idea, I think, behind it, because it was kind of a questionable send back once again, brought him out of the fight, and pretty much was the reason why Black had ended up going down there, because COOKISS could end up taking the fight there. But it looked like they wanted to send him back and then have him immediately boots of travel in, which is a viable strategy, except for the fact that there were no creeps aside from the ones that were getting ransacked by Invoker's spells. So when he tried to TP back in, of course, they lost the creep.
Travel though, so he can TP to heroes.
Did he just get a level 2 boots of travel? Because he TP'd down a creep and the creep died.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
I think it's newer on the level 2 boots of travel, because that's a lot better. Now he can TP to a hero that won't die quite as easily as a creep, you hope. But in the end, like, now you've got another set of racks exposed on the side of Champloo, and the fights are getting harder and harder and harder to take without getting routed out.
Well, this team kind of tanks the gang. Smoke up. He gets a stun off. Blinks out. But they still see him with the amplified damage, so he's still not dying with Black's ability. But I don't know what sacrifice. You gotta wonder. Izu's still up and about. It does have the refresher ult in 10 seconds. And yeah, once again, all the lanes are pushed out to a point where Champloo can't actually benefit from this kill in any way, not even be able to force out a buyback. So yeah, it all comes down to objective-based gaming. While all of that mid push was happening, Kaiser bought back, he was putting up pressure on bottom lane, the range tracks that down. We also saw the tier 3 fall, as we said just a second ago, exposing the range tracks, which already has taken some chip damage off it though. Jesus. Now another tier 3 goes down. This is just classic Lions gaming.
Pablo died, dude.
Oh god, yeah, I was just too amazed by the base falling apart with no one on COOKISS even being there. Yeah, didn't quite notice that, but hey.
Pablo just got demolished right there in the trees. It was I think that kind of gank is not suitable for children to watch under the age of 18. Like,
yeah, that's exactly what
you need to put a rating on this game. That was brutal. And now COOKISS, I mean, they're now on the losing end of a couple of kills, and Champloo are the one getting pickoffs. So this back and forth style is so not reminiscent is not the right word. It's the identifying style of a stalemated game. And whether or not COOKISS are able to split push this one out effectively and finally bring down a melee racks in any of the lanes is going to be determined. But Garter being able to just stay back and defend and then boot to travel in at a moment's notice is one of the major things that's now working in Champloo's favor. And COOKISS, they've got to be very careful of their split push. They have about 2.5, 3 minutes to go before Keizu can split push without fear of not having buyback. And that's a kind of important timing for them to get to, but for right now, it's interesting that Champloo aren't going to try to force that time. I think, his skill is in a lot of trouble here.
Pops the BKB, tries to run away, Garter comes in though, nice little swap here. Try and keep him safe, cleanse with his own BKB. They kind of have to fight it out now, steps out with the stun after the Garter's BKB in. Can they burst him down? Double Chen heal, E-skills coming in with the disarm, he kind of creating a little bit more chaos as a tackler. Links himself to the front line. And Gyrocopter did end up dying.
Buyback. I mean, they gotta go back and defend their bottom racks here. The melee racks taking a little bit too much damage. Black and Garter both get back, and neither of them now have TPs to get back up to the fight on the top, which is still going on.
Yeah. They bring down Attacker and Shen as well. It's kind of just a clean out because neither of these heroes can actually stand up to COOKISS right now on their own.
Attacker died without buyback.
But it's the big deal. He bought back before. It was still on cooldown, I believe.
100
30
seconds without an OD, yeah.
It's on cooldown for 30 seconds, so you can buy back then, but still, minus, that's yet another one they will fall, so eventually, I guess. Just burst, trying to stun up, but gets a blink out again. Oh, but Aesius gets it. He gets it. But yeah, let's look at the base, which is still falling apart with no one from COOKISS being there. Which is super silly, and they might catch someone else. The force that comes out of black. Back to the high ground here, corner, and absolutely everyone steps on those stops. Scarter in distracts. If they can bring it down again, that would be absolutely huge. And the Rangling's out there. He doesn't have buyback. Attacker has to do it. There's a swap back though. Immediately blink out on black, but pop this big happy. He's not combat effective. Attacker tries to stop the situation with Solomon. Actually hits him like quite a bit, but it's not enough. There's just too much firepower left on the side of COOKISS. It brings down black. Spending his own life, doing whatever he can. But this was the deciding moment. This was the one mistake that made the game, which is the nature of late game Dota. You lose Scarter a second time like that, just a little bit too far out on the front lines. Controlled up till the end, and well, now down to Mega Creeps. Black will be sent back in moments though. Caught with the Sprout right in front of the space. Will be forced up back, but it's all over with the crying anyway. No buybacks on either of the cores. Most importantly, the 43k net worth Gyro Carter. This was a game, well, as you see it in the playbooks of Alliance, perhaps, maybe in the playbooks of these split pushing type. Definitely executed to perfection here from COOKISS.
And gold doesn't matter, kills don't matter. Guess what matters? Throne matters.
Yeah.
And that throne is about to be dying very soon. I mean, I'd like to see people still talk about COOKISS having the superior late game, or having the weaker late game here, because it is very evident from empirical data that 60 minutes in, COOKISS was able to outfight and outplay Champloo. And I want to go back to this whole split pushing style, but I think we've beaten that horse to death. The main thing here, which I think was the biggest mistake, the biggest turnaround, was the fact that not only did Pablo end up dying, but quite a few